Hey everybody, it's David at David in Progress. I have a question for you. Are you close to retirement or early retirement and for whatever reason just can't take the leap? Is something holding you back? Well, that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the fear of taking the plunge and give you a few strategies that I think will help you to maybe finally take that leap. Are you ready? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, it's David at David in Progress, where we talk about financial independence, retiring early, and doing your best to live your best life now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the thumbs up, the subscriptions, and the comments. I just so greatly appreciate you. I grew up in a small town, and there was a pool at our local park, Wintersmith Park in Ada, Oklahoma. And occasionally I would go and spend time at that pool. And it was great. You know, all the kids spending the summer there, swimming around, having a good time. But as you know, as kids are kids, there's a bit of a hierarchy, a social hierarchy when it comes to pools and really any situation. In the case of Wintersmith Pool, there were what I saw as the deep water kids and the shallow kids, the shallow pool kids. I have to say, I was one of those shallow pool kids. You know, down at the end and kind of swirling around where my feet could always touch the ground. Further off, there were the deep water kids. And man, did I long to be one of those kids. They looked like they were having so much fun. No concerns about not being able to touch, no concerns about jumping off the side, and then most of all, no concerns about the high dive. Do you remember high dive? Something we don't see much at pools anymore. Our pool there at Wintersmith, it had one that in my 9-year-old mind I thought was at least 1,000 feet tall. And those high dive kids, they were the ultimate. You'd see them going up the ladder and then jumping, leaping with joy off the end. And somehow, to me, being a superhero with no fear, splashing into that water and just being the best they could be and living their best life. Well, shallow end pool kid me, finally one day I got up the courage to go and join those kids. And you know how it is with anything when you're trying something new. You get in the line and suddenly there's people behind you and you start to feel the pressure, the people pressure to go ahead and do what you have committed to do. I get to the ladder and I start going up, rung after rung after rung. Suddenly my excitement is turning a little bit more to fear on that way. And you get to the very top, and what happens? You look down, and oh my gosh, what you don't know when you start is that suddenly when you're at the top, the distance has changed. That 1,000 foot in my mind jump suddenly became 2,000 feet because I could see all the way to the bottom of the pool. Well, there was no turning back. There's a line behind me, and in my mind's eye, all the kids are staring at me. So I leaped and I flew through the air, and I have to say, it resulted in the most spectacular belly flop in the history of Wintersmith Pool. And I would love to tell you that I swam over to the side and went back and got in line and spent the rest of the summer jumping off that high dive. But honestly, I don't think I ever did. I'm not sure if I ever returned to the pool. I don't remember ever jumping off of that high dive again. You see, I have lived a lot of my life in fear of things, much like that high dive. And I'm guessing that maybe you as well have fear. You know, you spend your whole life going up the rung at work and saving into your 401k or saving into whatever account that you might have. And that is cool. But when it gets to the point where you got to jump off, you got to leave that job, you got to start spending that money, fear can take over and keep you from living your best life. And there are things we can do to overcome fear. You know, I think one of the first things is to ignore the doomsayers. That is, ignore those people around you that are holding you back and making you feel like you cannot do this, that you cannot go out and live your dreams, that you cannot retire early, that you cannot retire on time because they want to hold you back. You know that you can do this, and it is time to stop listening. Know this: no one can predict the future, but you control your life, and you can control your surroundings, and you can control the noise that is going into your head that keeps you from climbing that ladder. You are in control of yourself. It's maybe the only thing that you have control of. A second thing is you need to trust your numbers. There is a great book by a guy named Chris Voss called Never Split the Difference. And one of the things I took from that book is unrelated to finance, but it's just made a big difference in my life, is he says, facts don't have feelings. And when you think about money, money is often controlled by emotion. The emotion of what the market is doing today, the emotion of what I said before with the doomsday, the doomsayers, people that you got to take the emotion out of it. And that's where having your numbers set and running those Monte Carlo simulations, the deep dives into your bucket strategy and how you're going to use your different money, your plan for when the economy crashes, because it will, all these things, you got to dig deep into it. And at some point, you got to learn to trust your numbers. Have confidence that the numbers are going to work out no matter what happens in the economy, in the world, whatever, that the numbers will work out. You trust it and you leap with it. A third thing is to know once you've taken that leap, it's not the end of the world. So let's say that you have taken the leap into retirement and early retirement and things go wrong. Let's say the economy does tank or that your numbers were wrong or whatever. Have a plan B. You can always go back to work in some form. Perhaps you get some seasonal part-time work. A lot of people that are doing that, that are working at events that are locally, or maybe they travel to be a host at a park. There's a lot of those van life people doing stuff like that. But no, there's temporary part-time work that you can do to perhaps augment your income. Maybe in a worst case, you go back to full-time work. You can keep your skills alive that you had while you were working. If you had some type of certification, keep that going. Maybe you have a great time going back to school and getting some education for fun, but that gives you skills that if in a worst case scenario you have to go back to work, that, hey, you can. Just because you're retired, just because you've taken that leap, does not mean that you can't ever go back to doing something that generates an income. Heck, maybe you have some type of entrepreneurial skill that you didn't even know you had, and you can start a business, you can do something on the side. The point is, there are a lot of other ways to make money. And if you end up finding that you're running short, just go out and go back to work. Just go out and find some ways to make some additional money to help with that gap that you've experienced or that you are experiencing. So you've saved enough, you've tuned out the negativity, you've got a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. What you're going to do if things don't turn out the way that you think. Now is the time to go ahead and take that leap. You are done. You don't want to live the rest of your life going around in circles at that shallow end of the pool. You are going to be one of those people that can climb that ladder, leap off, and jump into retirement and early retirement with complete joy, knowing that all your years of saving and planning have finally paid off. I think you can do it. Let me ask you, there's a lot of people that leave comments on this channel about how much they would love to retire, but they just can't take the leap. They just can't overcome the fear. What other tips would you have for others? What is holding you back? I would just love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. Thank you for being part of David in Progress. Let me again encourage you. Take the leap. Live your best life now. Do not wait. This is your time.